Hi everyone! Let me know if you can hear me and see me. Just to make sure that everything starts off right. Sorry. Hi Cyan! Hi Patricia! Hi Malvina! Let's see. Curry's as a great sale, 20% off Daniel Smith. Ooh. Including Primatech and Kenson Heritage. Hey Tsukaboo! Oh, thanks Patricia. Awesome. Patricia, do you remember what's the regular price of a Series 1 tube of Daniel Smith at Curry's? I'm trying to think if it's more or less expensive than at Dessert. Think about $16. If it's about $16, that's about the same price as Dessert. So 20% off is really neat. It's like $3 off. That's almost the price they were not so long ago. Hey Dan! Sorry I'm late. No worries. You know this live stream never really starts on time. Even when I try, there's always something that messes up my ability to be there exactly on time. Hi Abel! I got a bunch of stuff today because I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I'll wait perhaps a couple of minutes more. I also want to show something that I found while looking for references. I've had this for quite a while. I didn't get this when it came out. I got it, like I found it used much later on. Hi Serafina! And it's a Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks Join the Fight book. In itself, nothing super amazing, but what is really cool is that it's all illustrated in watercolor. And I was like, whoa. Okay. So you can see already some really nice effects with like the gradients and some spattering. And all throughout I could, you can tell that it's something, well, it's either like gouache or watercolor, but you have like white gouache in some places, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool actually. I really did not remember about this one. So yeah, kind of a nice surprise. You can see all the white gouache in here. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And since it's the part that's on the planet that's basically a giant forest, I was like, hey, this is like also relevant to my wannabe skill set. Like, this is pretty interesting. They named the illustrator at the beginning, which is really neat. Illustrated by Diane de Groot. And it was also written by a woman, which is pretty neat. So yeah, I was kind of... I'll have to Google Diane de Groot's name and see what else they painted. Because that's pretty cool. Then I'm really super happy about this. Hey Mikey! Hey Stacy! Hey Lana! Hi Lee! She's Groot. She's Groot, actually. But yeah, just, it's kind of funny because it's a random discovery and it's by Random House. Okay, sorry. that's just dumb. But yeah, pretty neat treatment of the whole thing, and I might, look more into this book because it's actually pretty nice. The only thing that will come up for me on the Curry's site is the half pans and set. Huh. haven't tried the Canson Heritage paper yet. Okay, so for today, I had an idea for an illustration based on the book I'm currently reading, which featured like a big forest with giant trees and a person on a horse. And then I also saw that it was May the 4th. So I was like, I could also possibly do a Star Wars drawing because it's May the 4th. So I dug up this. This is pretty old stuff, considering, but it's all the stuff from Scholastic back in the late 90s. When they re-released. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, when they re-released the movies in theater, and I was in high school back then, and Scholastic had all sorts of Star Wars, thingies for us to buy, and me and my friends, we were really into it. So I still have these. What do they call it? Pull-out poster books with kind of silly, not super high-quality pictures, but anyway. So I dug that up as reference because I didn't feel like printing a bunch of CG-enhanced stuff from internet. It's also, I'm gonna butcher that, but Reichenbach. Is that in relationship to Sherlock Holmes? Yeah, I heard the sad news. Peter Mayhew. It's really sad. I try not to dwell too much on it because it just brings to memory that none of these beloved actors are really young. And I try not to think that I'm going to be a lot sad again in the future. Carrie Fisher was hard enough. I cannot imagine Mark Hamill leaving us. He's a treasure. Anyway, enough with the sad stuff. So yeah, I have like these. I remember I was showing these to Mr. E, and we went to the same high school, and we were both like friends then, and super into Star Wars. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember these books." Back then, this was the only way you could get like images and references from your favorite stuff. The internet was really rudimentary back then. So yeah, we were always like super excited when they would come up with something like the complete Star Wars trilogy scrapbook, and it's a bunch of pictures that you can super easily get, on internet. It's nothing special, but to us it was amazing because you couldn't have you had the movies on VHS, no way to keep to have screenshots. So just to have a thing like this, oh, the guns, and we would get all excited because if we were to draw fan art of Star Wars, we had like detailed views of how to draw the guns and the lightsabers and all that stuff. Stacy, is it in relationship to Sherlock Holmes, the the waterfall day? I don't want to butcher that. Today is the day Alice went down the rabbit hole, huh? Scholastic, I've got a bunch too. Oh yeah, I was always like super excited for the Star Wars stuff in Scholastic. I kept them, I don't know. He can go from Jedi to Crazy Fire Lord to Joker in the blink of an eye. He's pretty awesome. And yeah, Carrie was it was such a gut punch. Still difficult today, like whenever I see her, it's like, oh no, that's right, that specific light is no longer with us. Blech. Yeah, okay. I have other Star Wars books as well, like I have art books for the movies and all that, but the prequels are not my thing. So I kind of enjoy the memories that come with these cheesy books. Regarding Canson Héritage, it's fabulous paper. The pads are 100% cotton and 20 sheets for $19. The black are 100% tissue pad. Oh, that's cool. I'm just curious because you know, Moulin du Roi is also cotton, but it's unusable. Are you serious, Tsukabu? Holy moly, that's like surreal. Tsukabu says, I was in the airport on a neighboring plane when she passed in LA. Ugh. No. Oh, that year was, what was it? It was 2016 already? That year was disgusting. We lost like David Bowie. I don't know why I cannot remember the actor's name. The guy who played Snape in Harry Potter. I really liked this actor, but Alan Rickman, yeah. It was like gnarly that year. It was just like blow after blow of really important artists just leaving, and it was like you feel like you it's bad enough in general, like life is hard enough, and you just have these people that make you happy, and when they pass, it's like, ugh. Like it's a really harsh reminder that happens. Peter Mayhew passed away yesterday. He's the guy who played Chewbacca. Which I know for many people it's like, oh, the guy in the suit, but I think he was a really, really nice guy. And he was really kind of super devoted to what he helped create. Anyway, that's depressing. Let's talk about fun stuff. So what do you guys think? Oh yeah, Bowie, Prince, Carey, Rickman, and then we got the orange buffoon. If anything can sort of make a good example that life is not fair, I think this is it. The fact that, like, if there was any sense of fairness to anything, there are a lot of people that would possibly get the axe before other people, you know? If I can say that, you know what I mean. Who played Chewbacca again? It's Peter Mayhew. Super tall guy, lots of hair. Kabu says, we didn't know why the plane was held up. They just said someone was having a medical emergency. I'll never forget. Holy crap. Sorry. Ouch. Ugh. Yep, that's depressing. Hold on, I'm gonna go get my tea and possibly get a cat so that we can be a bit more happy. Hold on. Come say hi, if you're not gonna stay. Hi! I am not gonna stay, because I am a restless kitty, and I have things to do in my kitty life. Meow, 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 meow. Pickle! You have eye boogers. Don't you clean yourself? What are you doing? Mom, put me down. Mom. Hmm? Are you sure you don't want to stay with us? Are you sure you don't want to stay with us? Look. my tea is not ready. And I tried to get Pico to stay with us, but she really doesn't wanna. Oh no, Abel! I hope your dog's okay. Hi, Cosma. Oh no. Yeah, I'll have to make sure Pico's cleans up her hides anyway. Sorry. Right, so still unsure about what to draw. I can showcase something a bit more different too. I think some of you saw it. It's gonna be hard to fit in there. Ta-da! Yep. I was saving up and I finally saved enough to buy this. And I was insanely lucky because I think I got the last one on Jackson's. I think. Because I ordered this and when I went to check the listing to send it to a friend, I couldn't find it anymore. So, I don't know. But yeah, it's basically the what they call the luxury box from Schmincke. The one I had featured in my gift guides for like 2 years. Well, I've had finally enough to get it. So it's pretty cool. Comes with I'm gonna have a full-on video about this, but yeah, I was you know, playing with it and I swatched the colors that I have here in the swatch cards. So I was thinking of using these paints today for whatever I end up doing, but it's really nice. There's like 2 sets in the box. I think they're meant to be used together. None of the colors, like there's not a color that repeats between the sets of half pan and the set of full pan. So overall you end up with 36 colors in 2 sets. And it seems to be a nice array of colors. There's a lot of blues in the sets. Like here you have like 6, another 3 here. Not that many greens, but I haven't found a set that had many greens. Ever. Same for the yellows. There's not that many reds if you consider it, but yeah, I think it's fairly balanced. Also, it has magenta. It has like a lemony yellow, like a neutral yellowish color. And yeah, this cerulean blue is a good cyan. So you have like at least this primary triad in there. No white. Good. 1 black. That's okay. It's kind of useful for black cats, I'm finding, so since I paint a lot of black cats, or cats in general. But yeah, I will have like a first impression video just to sort of have a tour of everything in the box, and then I'll use it for a while, and after that I'll see about making a real review of this. But it's Schmincke paints. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be anything really new. It's gonna be good. Just grabbing some paper. So chat, what do you think? Star Wars drawing or like remind us to put our bibs on to catch the drool. Yeah, people are gonna start thinking that I'm a Schmincke shill. I'm not, because everything I get from them I save up and I buy it with my own money. I don't know if they haven't reached out to me. I remember when they released new colors, they sent some pretty neat selection of colors to a couple of artists, but I think my channel was and is perhaps still too small to be of any relevance to them from a marketing standpoint. I was thinking I could draw perhaps a cat versions of Han, Luke, and Leia. It could be cool. What's in the box? A bunch of stuff, actually. You have 2 sets of pans, 1 sets of 18 half pan, 1 of 18 full pans. There is a bunch of mediums. You have Oxgall, Gum Arabic, and Aquafix, brush soap, sea sponge, empty bottle, masking fluid, pencils, 2 brushes that I have here that I'm gonna use today. There's a pretty neat brush rest thingy, and I love that I can remove it, but I don't know if you guys can see it. Not super well. Okay, so it's all wood. It's and there are holes, drills in them, and you can sort of put your brushes in there. I think that's cool. It's perhaps if it's full, it's a bit annoying to sort of dive in to grab a brush, but I think as a way to just prop brushes, it's nice. And in any case, if it's not useful for the brush, it's a good paperweight. There's a hold on, knitted eraser. It's still very soft, which is great news. What else? There's the hold on, the aluminum sort of travel glass thing. And there is the palette here that for some reason I expected it to be bigger, but yeah, I don't know why they don't sell this on its own more. I haven't seen it. I would have bought it on its own, just because it's super lightweight and you can easily carry it around if you need more mixing space, but I'm catching up on chat. Do you mean the Horadam, the Joseph Horadam one that's like sort of round and you twist it and the pans pop out? That one is pretty cool. And I saw also that they recently released a new set in a wooden box of every color they have in half pans. It's like twice the price of the luxury box. It's like £800. Which is mind-blowing in terms of pricing, but it has every single color. And it's a pretty box too. I love how they set the boxes up. It seems to be a big box, but you have many sections, and in the sections you have the insert for a 24 color pan. Like this one. Well, this one is stuck in there because I don't want it to move, but you know, just this part, just the insert, and that's what you have in the box. Like the box has a section where they put in just the insert, and you have like, I think, what, 5 of them? Like a bunch of them, 5, 6 of them, and all the pans, the half pans are in there, and there's a ceramic palette as well. It's a really nice set, but I guess it requires a lot of space on your desk because it's a box that's already big and you have to have room to open the lid. Like, I don't know why they don't make those with a lid that you can sort of unattach from the base and store the lid somewhere when you paint and then attach the lid back on. But holy moly, 800 pounds. Like Canadian dollar, you can almost double the amount to have it in Canadian dollars, and yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing. It took me a long time to have enough to buy the wooden box I got here, and I cannot imagine like I'm pretty sure it's, and also there's a limited amount of them. There's like 125 sets worldwide. So yeah, hold on, I'm gonna go get my tea for real now, and be right back. Need some tea. Need some tea. There you go. Hey Alexandra, hi. We are talking about Schmincke paints. Yeah, the box takes up some space, but I was able to put it on my desk for now. So it's really handy. Hey Heather, hi. Hi Amisha. Hi Mikey. Hi people that I didn't say hi when they came in. Eva has proclaimed herself a Schmincke shill. Well, I'm not really a shill because they don't pay me. Hey, Massimiliano, hi. Alright, let's get to sketching the Star Wars. Let's see if I have a... Is there anything of use in all this fairly old stuff? How about this one? I know a lot of people consider Luke to be whiny, but I don't know. I think he's one of my favorite characters. And Leia is like the first woman character that you don't... How can I say this? How can I translate? Yeah, that's a good one. Like, she was one of the first lady characters that I saw that they don't make a whole point of going like, but she's a lady, you know? It's just, yeah, she's a, you know, she's a princess, but she's just a human being doing stuff, you know? I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but there's a lot of media that's like, but hey, look here, we have a woman in our movie, and you're like, yeah. Yep, you do. And somehow you completely miss the point anyway. Yeah, you missed the Pecco preview. She doesn't want to stay with us today. Oh my gosh, what, Cyan? Cyan, do you plan on neutering Ruka? I think you said you didn't plan to, but yeah, that means you're also in for quite the adventure. I should possibly sketch it up first. Do I have scrap paper around? Of course I don't. Do I have a sketchbook around? I think I should possibly label this Caturday Livestream, not this specific one, but all of them, as the most casual thing ever. Yeah. Oh, you guys are great. Yeah, Leia had... Patricia says that she had full dialogue, got her way, and never once asked anyone what they wanted in their coffee. Stacey says, right. Right? Especially when they make such a big deal and there's only one woman. It's an ensemble, because that's how it works. Alright, I really like this idea of drawing them as cats. And I don't know for you guys, but I love seeing all the... When they have like pictures of behind the scenes of the cast back in 1977. Oh my gosh, I love this. They all look so happy. They're all like kids, and it's before they got super famous and before everything got big, and issues that ensued. So yeah, it's always like you see them and you have Harrison Ford that always looks like the curmudgeon that he will forever be. But you have Mark and Carrie like happy and smiling, and it's the best. Okay, so this is supposed to be a HB pencil. Wow, it is so hard. Like kind of a broad, in a good way. Patricia says, I saw Star Wars when it first came out in Toronto's biggest theater at the time, and my legs shook walking down the steps on the way out. Wow. That is... I really... Oh my gosh, that's an experience that I'm sort of envious of never having. I mean, when it came out, it was really something new, and it was, I think, groundbreaking in so many ways. And it's not the same when nothing else like that is present in culture and you get to experience it for the first time. I think that's pretty epic. Tsukaboo says, Leia was my favorite princess back in the day. Smart Alec held her own against Jabba the Hutt, and she was beautiful. Yeah, that's, I agree. It's, I don't know, I know that every woman is gonna sort of react differently because we're all different, but I was really impressed by the fact that they really don't make a fuss that she's a woman. Maybe they try sometimes, like maybe the characters in the setting, but she what the fuck? Sorry. But she never lets anyone like step over her. She you know, she's strong in a way that all these strong female characters are usually not. I mean, it's real strength. It's not this fake strength that somehow Hollywood tries to feed us as strong female characters, and like, yeah, but no. Hey, Alexei. Hi. Also, the second female character that I saw that I was really impressed with is Sarah Connor in Terminator. I know there's a kind of a big gap in between. I don't think Turanga Lila. I don't think that's not Carrie, right? Mikey says, I feel like Carrie fought hard for every minute of life that she lived. She struggled but did so much good for others. Yeah, and even when she was struggling, like, she was such a force to be reckoned with when she was older. Like, she would do her thing. She would bring Gary the dog everywhere with her. She would tweet with almost only emojis. Like, everything was an emoji in some of her tweets. You know, this kind of stuff. She was really doing her thing. And yeah, she had a really rough past. I'm baffled that you haven't seen Star Wars, Cyan. It's okay. I mean, that's completely your choice, but it's so ubiquitous that I'm just doodling nonsense. Well, let me clarify this. It's true. Patricia says, at the time she was to me and my friends someone we could relate to because we had to be that feisty generation of women. They've gone back to 50s women types now. Yeah, it's that's a really serious discussion in a way, like what they expect of women and all of that stuff. Favorite princess is King Geoffrey. Yeah, I think, didn't you mention that you enjoyed the prequels? I think it's you in a completely different generation. Sorry. Ooh. Yeah, I always eat right before the live stream, so I'm sorry I'm always in the midst of digestion but during the live streams. Mikey says the stereotype now is back in the home, yet somehow a woman's work experience is raised. Very strange. I don't think I noticed anything, but then again, I'm not exactly in how can I say this? I don't really meet a lot of people, and I don't really interact with a lot of people that are sort of labeled not normal, but you know, like the average. So I don't really know any of this stuff. If you guys can expand on this, I think that would be super interesting. Dan says, I was trying to be sarcastic. I liked Attack of the Clones. The other two weren't that good. Attack of the Clones, that's the first one, is it? Phantom Menace. No, the Phantom Menace is the first one. Attack of the Clones is the second one, and the third one is, I don't know. I don't remember. Patricia says, Patty Duke was another hero. She came out with her major health issues and stood up when people tried to call her a female hysteric. Yeah, Alexandra, you got it right. Alexandra says, it's awkward when people try to make strong independent women. Sometimes you can tell it's a middle-aged man impression of what strong female characters act. Oh, so much. That is so true. And also so depressing. You have movies like, I don't know. There's one movie that come to mind, but I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. Perhaps it's better than the impression I got from it. But when you have movies like Sucker Punch, well, it's like scantily clad ladies who are promiscuous but have guns and they kill people, and you're like, yeah, none of this. Is all that supposed to be relatable in some way? I don't think it is. I think that's what's missing. It's the fact that these strong, independent women are almost never relatable. Another current hero named Judi Dench. What has she done that's particular? I'm not super familiar with. You mean you don't tie up your hair before you end someone? Pfft, I do my makeup before I end someone. Says the girl who can't even put mascara on. Patricia says strong female leads from my generation. Ellen Mirren, Judi Dench, Vanessa Redgrave. Stacy says, make sure winged eyeliner is perfect before polishing long rifle. The one show my mom and I love is Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey is a mess. I'm saying that, and you gotta keep in mind that I saw the whole series through at least 3-4 times. I saw it and I enjoyed. There are some parts of it that I really, really enjoy, and there are some parts of it that I have to do something else while they are on because I need to not pay attention, and when it comes back to something I enjoy, I pay attention again. It's really weird. Oh, Emma Thompson, yeah. Emma Thompson is pretty awesome. Didn't like season 4 much. I don't remember what season 4 is about. I have a brother. I hate everything that has to do with debates. I don't like them. This is like super forced drama, and they really make it so that you're supposed to feel sad for them, and I was like, yeah, but you know what? I don't give a crap. And why is there no Leia there? That's not a good thing. So yeah, I find them insufferable. Damn, Maggie Smith was always a gem in that show. She was so good. what's her name? Mary is also absolutely unbearable. She's insufferable. It's been a while. Sybil. Sybil was a treasure. Oh, Lucy Liu. Yeah, Lucy Liu is freaking awesome. Oh my gosh, I love Lucy Liu a lot. She was so cool in Elementary. That was a strong female character, guys. Oh no, what makes you go ew, Stacy? Mikey says, I like what you said, and I agree. The kick-ass women are never juggling children or household at the same time. Or it's rare, like in Bad Show Good Girls. I haven't seen Good Girls. Oh, brushing teeth. Yeah, it's really difficult to relate. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of end up relating more to the guys in stuff, because often there's no like bonus expectations pushed on them. They get to be themselves and they get to do the cool stuff. And no one is like, no, but wait, you're a girl, you gotta do this in this way. Yeah, nope. Alexei asks, do you prefer to use watercolor or do you also use other mediums? I really like watercolor. That's what I use the most. I kind of like gouache too, but I'm not super experienced with gouache. Okay, let's go with this one. Yeah. But yeah, I really like watercolor. Stacey says we relate to the guys a lot because they actually get to have developed characters. Yeah. Lord of the Rings, prime example. Lord of the Rings, as good as it is it's a sausage fest. It is. It is also a product of its time, so it's one of those like harder to discuss thing, because there's a lot to not that I'm not saying that I excuse anything in there, but it's absolutely true that it's a lot of dudes in there, and there's a lot of weird interpretations, or like it can be interpreted in so many weird ways. Same with Dune. I really, 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 really love Dune, but yeah, it can be weird to. I think it's just it divides the fans a lot, because not everyone gets the same interpretation of everything, because we all have different life experiences. So something that will really shock someone might not make as strong an impression on someone else. I like that we're talking about strong female characters, because for once we're a bunch of girls talking about this stuff, and you guys can speak freely in here. How did there get to be so many creatures in Middle-earth with no female? Magic! The mages, they created thingies in the soil, and they come out in this big goopy membrane, and ta-da! You have an urukai. Womp womp. What? Oh no, turkey neck. That's why they invented, of course I don't remember the word, the turtlenecks. Scarves, scarves. That's why, I think that's why women are so, are so like, we're sold scarves a lot. It's like, hey, look at all these scarves, and I know I have a freaking piles of scarves just because I'm like, ooh, pretty scarf. Yeah, I need another one. I don't have one in this color. I think that's like our instinct for when we want to hide either a double chin or a turkey neck. Magic reproduction, no eggs, wombs required. No, just dudes and magic. I mean, I really love the movies. I haven't read Lord of the Ring. I don't think I could. But like my appreciation of it is really detached from it. To me, that's just like this super awesome, extravagant, awesome fest, sausage fest. Like it's just, you have like Legolas who do super silly stuff. I adore this. Okay, I really love the fact that they put this, because the more over the top it is, the more I like it. But I know that's not the stance of most of Tolkien fans. Have you heard about the deal with Rey being in Mary Sue? I've heard about it. I don't really have a set opinion on this, because I don't really have a set opinion on the newest movies. I just know that I did not really connect with them in a way that I connected with the older ones. Perhaps it could be as simple as just at what time in my life I saw these movies. Because when I saw the first, I say the first because they're the oldest one, but you know, episodes 4, 5, 6, I was much younger, so perhaps that left a different impression on me than watching movies now, you know. So I find it really difficult. I know that there are things that I personally did not like about Rey, but that's just my personal issues, my personal perception, my personal, I don't know, integrated misogyny. I don't know what it is. You could label it in any way. I haven't spent a lot of time like pondering on it. I just know that I saw the movies and the connection did not really happen with any of the characters. So yeah, that's where I stand about it. If people want to claim that Rey is a Mary Sue, I think that's kind of a weak argument, because there are so many like Gary Stews out there, and it's kind of hard to have a platform to stand on while claiming that Rey is a Mary Sue, because you're like, yeah, but she's just the same as so many other things. Mary Sue is a term used to describe female characters. I don't know if, Dan, you're generally asking, but I think it refers originally to a Star Trek fanfiction that was written. And it basically means a female character that can do just about everything and is super powerful, super awesome, super loved, like super everything. They call her a Mary Sue then. Like, I think that, like, so far my sort of main perception of it is that I think Rey is just not the type of character I like in any kind of media. Not that she's bad, she just, I don't really react to her. It's just she's there, she does her thing, and I'm like, that's okay. Like, I don't go like, whoa, she's so cool. I just go like, okay. And yeah, that happens with, you know, many things. It's not necessarily just because this is Rey. But I feel like it's really hard to have an opinion on Rey, because everybody's so quick to label you as like, oh, you hate her, or you like her, or you're this, or you're that. Like, I don't really have a thing, you know. I don't really, in a way, I don't really care. And that's also okay. Okay, let's use this as a smudge guard. Female character who is too accomplished and not realistic, as if that's not every male superhero character ever. Yeah, there's a thing there. Oh yeah, the fans. Well, in this case, it's probably going to be fanboys mostly, but they're the real issue. Like, it's if you don't have to like a character, but you will definitely be scrutinized on your reason why you dislike a character. Because in this case, it really doesn't paint a nice light on these guys. Did you guys see Endgame? Speaking of superheroes. Did anyone ever watch the TV series Alias? I haven't. Serafina says, I think it became such a big deal since Daisy Ridley was trying to defend her character whilst making it a bigger deal since she supposedly didn't fully understand the term Mary Sue. That could be. Oh yeah, they did terrible thing. Like the actor who plays Rose in the most recent movies, she had to like get off internet because the I can't find a word, but people were lashing so hard on her for like saying things about her character, and I'm like, well, whatever happened to you don't like something and that's the end of it? Like, you don't have to make this personal crusade if you didn't like something. There's a bunch of things I don't like, and I might rewrite the canon in my head, but I will not start on a crusade because I want like it to be fixed. No, I would just think, well, I didn't like that, so I'll accept that this is the way they say it is, but in my head it's always going to be like this thing, because I find this thing much more entertaining and interesting than whatever they came up with. There's one thing about Star Wars that I'm really sad never happened. I want Luke's outfit. I really want it. I want those stupid jeans and that sort of kimono top and the boots. It's super simple, it's super awesome, and I'm like, I never saw anything like it in fashion. I want this. I can't really sue anything good at the moment either, so. Dan says, was joking. I've only seen the first Avengers. The first Avengers movies or the Captain America movie, The First Avenger. I love Captain America. Really liked the first two movies they did with him. Oh yeah. Would help if I could remember which side. Yeah, okay. Bummer. The Avengers film, yeah. I haven't seen Endgame. I don't really care much about it. I've sort of spoiled what I was curious about, really. Just like meh. Meh. Hey, Juma, comment ça va? Ça va bien, ça va bien. Mikey says, lately I've been watching Charmed with my mom. They may do it with their boobs out, but they sure do kick ass and provide strong female leads. And that was right around Y2K. Serafina says, personally I prefer the smaller movies that don't blow up as much, if they're good, of course. Dan says, for strong female leads, Buffy was the best. Mikey says, I was just thinking about Buffy and Xena. I never really watched Buffy. It did not really connect with me. Forgot to draw tails. At least they weren't Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah, those were products of their time. I really like Supernatural, but they really struggle with the female characters in there. When they get a good one, they usually can't keep her alive super long. And even when they get a bad one, they can't keep her alive. Like, it's a bit silly. In a sense, I think that if they can't do a good job writing the ladies in there, maybe they should just not really have any. I don't know what is worse, like a badly written female character or not having any female character at all. Why is it so hard to get a full view of anyone? Oh, crud. I hope some of the Avengers turn out to be gay. Yeah, not very likely. Or if they do, it's probably gonna be no one relevant. Because they're not great at taking risks. Yeah, I'm not surprised to learn that the Naruto creator didn't quite know how to write strong female characters. Yeah. Though, I gotta say, Sakura isn't that bad. I mean, she's kind of perhaps a bit weird at the beginning, but it kind of worked for me because she was a kid. And also she does something quite strong, I feel, quite early on. But anyway, they made Valkyrie be bi, then left it on the cutting floor because it would be distracting. Yeah, that sounds like what they usually do. It's a risk because I think that the way I see this, that's just my perception, okay? But we're having an open discussion, but I think they consider it a risk because there is no one in the canon, with lots of quotes like that, that is technically gay, but all that stuff was written in a time that was absolutely closed off on this stuff. So if they were to make someone gay now, it would be a change from what it was before, and then you would have all the comic fanboys bigots that would come out the woodwork and be really like shocked, and I think they feared that this expected reaction is somehow a good indicator of the general reaction to this kind of stuff. So they usually just destroy these ideas right off the bat. Which is super freaking dumb. I mean, they keep trying to cater to the older generation of fans, I feel, but maybe they should build on catering to the newer fans, to the younger people that have different mindsets and that will possibly stay fans for much longer than the old folks, right? Yeah, I like Sakura too. Sakura, she was, like, at the beginning, they're like, what? They're like 11, 13, they're kids. So she's just like a kid of that age range. She's trying to make an impression, and she has crushes, and she's a bit annoying, but they're all a bit annoying. Naruto is incredibly annoying as well, and he's incredibly dumb. And like Sasuke, you just want to smack him on the back of the head because you're like, stop being emo. You're a freaking kid. Come on, have fun a little. Anyway, and then I know that there's a whole chunk of Naruto that I missed because I used to read it in the manga, and those cost money. So yeah, it's on my bucket list to perhaps eventually get Sakura and Naruto, but to eventually get all because it's finished. So there's an end goal. It's not like One Piece that is still ongoing. There's like 1 billion books. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Like Sakura's arc in Naruto, the first segment with the Chunin eliminations, I think, it's pretty interesting. And they sort of make her the healing type character, but she's not weak in a way. Anyway, I liked her. I think that possibly it helped that Masashi Kishimoto didn't know how to write women well, because if you wrote her like a guy, then he sort of skips a lot of the issues with writing women. That's, I don't know. I mean, they made a lot of huge changes to Norse mythology with the Thor and Asgard stuff. Yeah, that's not on the same level. And I think it was perhaps like that from the beginning, in a way. Hey, Lab Accident, hi! I don't know what it is, but I think it's really silly, and I don't think they write... Like, what we actually get from these characters is not any better. Like, it's not... I feel like if they were to be more decisive and embrace diversity a bit more, it could bring some very interesting elements. And yeah, and instead they just chicken out of it, and you just get this stale, bland stuff. And some really out of character stuff. I don't want to start rambling about this stuff because I don't feel like you guys are interested in that kind of really involved rambling, but I have thoughts and opinions on Captain America, and yeah, they're not all great ones. Really? I didn't know. No, Naruto and Bleach are not. Stop being a troll, Dan. Tsukaibu says, I feel like I can't take part in the fandom because you say I like Sakura or I like Hinata, and poof, you literally get attacked. Oh, I don't really. Well, you won't get attacked here because I like Sakura too, and Hinata was really cute for whatever we saw of her in the parts I read, but like I said, I didn't read the stuff when they get much older, and it gets sort of really deep and weird, and that's kind of the part where I dropped off of it. Stacy says, because all of these mythological characters they're based on were gay, bi, pan, chimeras, whatever. Well, it just didn't matter. Like, what was it? Loki had kids with, I don't know who, like a giantess, and the 3 kids were like weird stuff, and it's just, it's mythology. It doesn't make sense because it doesn't have to. It's not faithful to the story. Yeah, that's basically the problem. Oh no, I had like a kind of a mean thought. Because Dan says, I wasn't sure as I've heard people discuss both in the same sentence. Well, Naruto is good and Bleach is not good. Sorry. I'm kidding. I don't like Bleach, but if you like it, that's perfectly fine. I tried reading Death Note too, and that's not for me either. Need to watch Naruto. If you can sort of find a way to read it, then I think because the anime is really uneven, everything that is a fight scene usually is really nicely animated, but the rest is really sad. But then again, maybe that stuff doesn't register on you the same way. Because like I kind of studied animation, so it's really hard for me to watch animation that is awful, because it takes me out of the story, because I'm like, oh no, they did this thing and it's bad, and when it's good I'm like, holy crap, this is so good, and I'm also out of the story. So And the manga is really pretty. The art in the manga is really good. So if that's something you equally enjoy, reading Naruto is perhaps a good option. But yeah, Naruto is not as dark as Death Note, but Death Note is not really good, so I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm really picky. I really hated Attack on Titan. I was offended level of not happy. Sakura, le développement le moins what the fuck de la Team 7. C'est vrai, hein? Elle est dans Nikitsu. Ouais. Ouais, c'est vrai, c'est vrai. Non, mais il est vraiment pas à l'aise avec les personnages féminins. Mais dans certains cas, le fait qu'il soit pas à l'aise, ça nous a peut-être sauvé des grosses bourdes aussi. Peut-être. C'est sûr que ça aurait été mieux qu'il soit à l'aise et qu'il fasse quelque chose de très bien avec ça, mais au final, je suis quand même contente de comment ça finit. C'est pas si pire. My son is hooked on One Piece. One Piece is really fun. I think I'm picking up some audio. Hold on, this is weird. I forget to mute this. Oh, I forgot to mute this. Shut up, me. Oh, I like all the talk about mythology and the... Yeah, Naruto, the anime, has an insane amount of filler. And it's not all good filler. It's kind of... it's a bit of a disaster. But the manga is really pretty. I remember when it first got translated in French, that's when I first saw it, because I would often go to the comic book shop, and they had a small section with mangas. And at some point in the 90s, they started having the Naruto translation. And I was like, hey, this art is really pretty. I'm gonna try this manga. And this is basically how I get into anything. Like, if it's pretty, I'm already more interested. So yeah, I thought that it was really pretty, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the first volume and see if I like it. And I subsequently bought, you know, as often as I could with my allowance, or like whatever money I made from babysitting. And yeah. No. Is Urasawa... What? That's more like horror, right? I have Junji Ito in mind, but I think... I'm digging my brain. What watercolors do you prefer, and do you think that pens are better than tubes? I like a lot of brands, to be honest. I really like Schmincke, if you have access to Schmincke. M. Graham is really awesome if you have access to that. Renaissance is also really good. It really depends on what you have access to. I think that most professional brands are really good. And that's what I try to stick to. I try to avoid student brands, because I don't really... I like to be able to have super awesome strength in my color, because you can always dilute them. And I don't really like when colors are weak, because it's a lot more work to strengthen them than to dilute them. And as for tubes versus pans, it really depends on what you need. I think that I kind of prefer not having to work in half pans, because it's small and it ruins your brushes. but I can work with it fine. Ideally, it's you get tubes and you pour them in a palette that you like, but I find it really difficult to find a palette that I like. So in the meantime, I have a zillion sets with pans, so I use those. Pluto, Monster, 20th Century Boy, Billy Bat. Huh. I think it's Monster I had in mind. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Serafina asks, have you ever looked at or just come across something and thought that it wasn't something you'd like? Later a friend or something comes along and shows it and you instantly want it? Do you have an example? Because just like that, I'm tempted to say not really, but maybe it's just because I can't visualize it. I really love the Blade of the Immortal manga. I would say in great part because it is so pretty. Oh my gosh, that one is lovely. And I saw the movie, and the movie really wasn't that bad. How do I go about buying manga? You can look online. Perhaps there is some available on Amazon. I know that personally I go into any bookstore. Well, most bookstores here have a section with manga. So yeah, if you have a kind of a chain of bookstore, there's a chance there is a section with manga in there. Sorry, hiccups. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, Lee. Lee gives an example of what Serafina was asking. So Lee says, like, paint brand releases new paint. I glance at it like, nah, not into that. F paints it out, suddenly I need it. Yeah, oh yeah, that in that sense, I think it has happened to me a couple of times. In terms of mostly with the color, like it's like, oh yeah, this color, meh. And then I see someone paint with it or make mixes with it, and I'm like, let's add this one to my list. Yeah, that has happened. Serafina says, let's say a book, it doesn't seem that interesting. A friend comes along and says, hey, this book is great. I think you'd like it. You get it, and it turns out that you love it. Yeah, that has happened. With movies on Netflix too. Sometimes I see like a preview for a movie and I'm like, meh. And then Mystery is like, oh, have you seen this movie's on Netflix? I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. And he will explain to me like, yeah, but it has this and this, and like sometimes the way they make the like the what's the word I'm looking for? But the way they present something doesn't focus on the stuff that you would react to. So you're like, this is not for me. But then someone sort of presents it in a different light, and suddenly you're like, oh wait, it has all these things that I like. That's the spark of possibilities, yeah. It then says, so Naruto 3-in-1 trade paperback volume 1 C101 what? Well, that just like that, if it's a volume that has the 3 first books, it sounds good. Some of the new Van Gogh colors, for example. Ooh. As much as I love Van Gogh, I don't know. I haven't seen the new colors, so that's the caveat. But I'm really more into professional range. So when I see like a new student set release, I'm super happy for students. But as for myself, usually it only means that they've added like some professional sort of pigments in there. So I don't really feel a need personally to investigate about them. And also I think I'm at the point where I have a lot of paint. So the appeal of new paint is really different. It's not the same as like before I had that much paint where I was like, hey, this pigment, I don't have it, I don't have that color. And now I'm like, chances are I have that somewhere. So it needs to be something a bit different or something super reliable, which is why I have so many Schmincke sets. It's because I know that with these paints, I'm good. Like they're gonna be good for a really long time, and I know I can make professional items with it. Not that I'm, selling paintings in any way. Oh, speaking of selling and stuff, that reminds me that I wanted to mention on stream that I have handmade paints for sale right now. I put the link in the description. I opened kind of a shop on my own website and closed down my Etsy. And it was, it's another one of those decisions where I basically shoot myself in the foot because my own shop doesn't have as many traffic as perhaps Etsy does, but my own shop is not, it's not on a really shady platform by shady people. It's my shop, so I can stand behind it a lot more than Etsy. Etsy was really getting on my nerves with their shadiness, and I felt like really unhappy with the way they were, again, sort of not really caring about their users. The coloring of the illustrations of the latest Kishimoto manga are very Moebius. He had already said he was a fan of them, but the inspiration is marvelous. I will have to check it out. Because I really like what Moebius does. Dan says, no way, selling on my own website was the best thing I ever did. Well, I think that's really awesome. I think Otto also, well, I don't think she ever sold her paints on Etsy, but I'm glad that it's working out for you. It's not really working out for me as well. But that could be many factors. Anyway, I just wanted to mention on stream that I have paints for sale because I tried putting it on Twitter and Instagram, but I know that it's fairly easy to miss those messages, and it always feels like when I don't have paints for sale, I regularly get messages about where are my paints and will I have other paints for sale, and I always feel like when you actually have stuff for sale, well, these people, they miss the message in a way. So I'm just saying, it's there if you feel like taking a look. I think an issue could be that my product pictures are perhaps not super great. I'm not very good at taking good pictures, I'm afraid. It takes time, but once people know where you are, okay. That's also a thing. I mean, it's not Etsy. I mean, you can go on Etsy and search for something and find a bunch of sellers that way. But when you have your own website, there's no guarantee that like a Google search is going to work as well. But yeah, I mean, Etsy, they did this super shady thing where they sort of borrowed in a way a lot of money from their customers, like the creators on Etsy. They charged them some ridiculous fees that were absolutely that came out of nowhere. Oh yeah, shipping rate is a fixed rate regardless of the amount of pans that you buy. It is the same price because luckily pans are not super heavy. Lee says, I've set up Shopify on my site, but now I need to make a bunch of listings. I was considering getting Shopify, but they're all so expensive. Yeah, I think it works out better. It's my worry was, I was basically asking myself, am I trading this headache for another headache when I close my Etsy shop? Because I did a lot of searching for what kind of selling platforms I could use. Because Etsy has a lot of issues, but it's fairly easy to use, and it works relatively well. And it's established, so it has a couple of advantages, but it also has many issues. And I was comparing all the plans and all the other services like Shopify, and I'm using the Squarespace selling platform that comes with it, and I was like comparing things, comparing prices and checking out stuff, and I was like, well, it's really difficult because it is all a headache anyway. But I'm like, is it going to be more or less of a headache than what I'm enduring with Etsy? I really struggle with shady practices. I mean, everyone probably does. That's not. I'm not saying that in a way. I'm like, I'm not implying anything about the way I do things, but I find it really difficult. Like when I saw that YouTube takes 30% of the super chats, and I was talking about this with Mr. E, and he said, well, $7 on 10 is better than no dollars at all. But I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, I really struggle personally with the concept that I'm giving $3 to a platform that doesn't give 2 cents about me. And it's just, I find it really difficult. Like, I know I could make some money out of it anyway, but I'm like, the fact that I don't know, it's just weird. Maybe I'm really not helping myself, but I find it difficult to deal with these things. So same thing with Etsy, same thing with Patreon. Like they always say to us, like, you can't really make an impact on these big corporations or companies unless you speak with your money. And I'm like, I feel like this is kind of this idea. I don't know, maybe I'm just, mistaken. And I'm not necessarily plugging it in just so that just to boost sell. I'm just saying it in case you missed the advertisement and you were interested anyway. So that's just the point of me mentioning that I have paints for sale. Hey, Josefina, hi. Shopify for WordPress, which is cheaper. Oh, hold on, I need to keep a notepad next to this table. That's just ridiculous. Hold on. Shopify for WordPress. Something to look at later. In my main household income, scummy company. Oh. Well, how do you feel about that in a way? If I can ask that, of course. Because yeah, that's the thing that happens. I mean, yeah. Google doesn't need more, but the thing is Google is sort of ubiquitous, and at some point you don't necessarily have many options. It's difficult. I don't know. It's just I find it really difficult to find a proper balance and all of that. So far, the only thing that I found that doesn't make me completely disheartened about the state of things is Ko-fi. So I think that for now, Ko-fi is sort of small enough and like manageable enough that they can keep the focus on the important thing, and they have nice elements, like they don't take a cut from donations. I think they're the only ones that do that. Like everything else, whether it's super chats or Patreon or I don't know, like they always say like, well, X percentages goes to us and you get the rest, and you're like, okay, because that's basically all you can do. You can say no thank you, or okay, like no thank you, I won't take your service. But Ko-fi is kind of nice, but it's not, it's not completely functional in a way. Like it doesn't have a way that you can like posts. You can't really, if someone leaves a comment, you can't really reply to them. I don't know, it's a bit weird. Why do you feel frustrated about Patreon then? Serafina says, I think someone said this at the start of the chat back when we were talking about female characters, but it feels like humanity and society is moving backwards in time. Yeah, it does feel like that, at times at least. It's really weird because like it feels a bit like uncharted territory for us. Like I realize it when I speak with my parents that their circumstances at my age were very different from mine at this age. So sometimes it's kind of weird to it's perhaps a bit more difficult to relate because of this. Like how are we supposed to cope in this kind of world right now? I feel it's hard to establish any kind of following on their own Patreon. It is really hard. You can basically just translate followers on another platform to a percentage of followers on Patreon. They don't really have a way to like discover people, and I feel like people who give money to people on Patreon, they don't go there because they have like a couple of dollars burning their pockets and they're like, hey, I want to give this to a random people. It's usually like someone you follow or you know, or an artist you like, or some content creator that you like, and eventually they mention that they have a Patreon and you're like, hey, I have a couple of extra bucks, I'm gonna give it to them, you know? So you don't really grow a following on Patreon. You can only just try to bring your following from elsewhere to Patreon. I'm just waiting for this to be completely dry. Like, what is this thing? I can't wait for... I'm not excited for it, but at least an advantage of the weather being a bit warmer is that it's gonna be less dry and I'm gonna stop having super dry skin, itchy skin, because holy crap, this is annoying. Ah, that's cool, Josephina. Oh, you're too kind. Thank you so much. I feel Patreon is more hard work than it's worth. Like, I know Otto is doing super well on it, but is she really? I think, well, I don't know, I cannot speak for Otto, but she's really good at managing her stuff, so I don't feel like she would necessarily commit to something that she can't afford. Like she seems to have thought this stuff up really well, like to unlock certain elements when Patreon has earned her enough to be able to move on to the next thing. But yeah, it's really difficult because it's like Patreon is a job on its own. Because to have a certain appeal on Patreon, you need to offer something to the people who will possibly give you money. But making all this extra stuff happen is work. So you're like, well, people came to my Patreon from the work I already do, but in order to get them to possibly give me a couple of bucks on Patreon, I have to do yet more work as rewards so that they find something interesting in what I have here and they decided to donate, but on the condition that they will receive something extra from this donation, not just for the work I do. And I find like this is really hard to manage. Like I feel like Otto has had a lot of good ideas with her Patreon. Like she has found great ways to integrate elements from her videos into rewards on her channel, on her Patreon as well. So like the color showdown, well, she can make dot cards for certain tier and have that be a reward. So that sort of integrates nicely, but not everyone can sort of tie everything together so well. I know I'm not able to. I don't know. I cannot really say because my Patreon never really got that big. I mean, it was better than a kick in the ass, that's for sure. And I'm incredibly thankful to everybody who helped me with making it work. But at the same time, I mean, I'm kind of glad the timing came for me to take a pause on Patreon, because at the moment, like, I cannot even print prints because my printer is all messed up. And yeah, and I mean, no one never took me up on any of the higher tiers, so I never had like to do commissions or, you know, more extensive work per se, but it's just difficult. I think that generally the people in our community are really nice and it's really not an issue, but I've seen it happen with other people in other communities where, you know, people really expect extra rewards from Patreon, and I get the feeling that it's a bit like Kickstarter. If you want your Patreon to be successful, most of the rewards have to be things that don't really cost extra. Like, say on Kickstarter, if you make a tier that is, you get the PDF of whatever the person is selling. I say PDF because most of my Kickstarter interaction are books, but like the PDF tier is super important, I find, because that one doesn't really cost you anything to produce. So that's probably the tier where you have the biggest earnings. And when you have like tiers that are like, well, this one is the book, I mean, that's usually fine because the Kickstarter is about making prints of the book, like having the book printed. But a lot of Kickstarter have had issues because they add too many stuff, and then the shipping cost and the production costs really bites into the earnings, and you end up making a Kickstarter that you got a lot of stuff made, but you didn't pay yourself. So it's not super easy to figure out, and I feel like Patreon is a bit like that. If you put too many tiers that require work on Patreon, it ends up like paying for that and not necessarily serving its purpose, I feel, of people in a good way patronizing you. Like, if you like the work a person does and they have a Patreon, you really maybe should not expect anything in return. Like, I had one tier like that, and I think these are the most the best examples I can give, but it's, say you make videos on YouTube, well, one of the tier, the person is in the credit as a producer, because that's basically their money helps you do what you're already doing. It doesn't add any more work to your workload. I don't know if that makes sense. I'll go get some water for painting, and I'll be right back. photo. I'm here! I went to get some water for painting. I tried to get Pico on camera, but she, again, this week, she decided she had other things to do. Lee says, I use Patreon primarily as a monthly tip jar. The Patreon updates and such are nice, but I'm not actually paying for product. I think that's the proper way to approach Patreon, but the problem is that not everyone has this mindset about it. Yep, I agree with Mikey. Although it's good that you slept. It probably means that you needed the sleep, and I know you did. Okay, let's see which. We're gonna have a really important question to address quite soon, and that is, what color is each cat gonna be? Felt so good to get. Oh, I'm glad it did. It really felt like you needed this sleep, so I think that's awesome. Leia could be. Oh yeah, she would have to. With her character. Yes, that's the box. Whoop, whoop. I showed it earlier, but it's right next to me. My precious. It's just over here on my table. I wanted it there because it's kind of the most accessible place possible. I felt like I would enjoy having super easy access to the stuff in there. Ah, Lee, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I really, really, really appreciate it. That's a thing that's pretty neat with Ko-fi. Ko-fi has a feature that you can use as a tip jar. Just say like, I'm giving you, well, it's usually increments of a certain amount. I let it be the basic $3, but yeah, you can decide, just be like, hey, I appreciate your work. I decide to just tip you $3. And you can also decide to have it be a monthly recurring donation, which is kind of a new feature that is pretty cool. I agree that Leia should be a tortie. That's a really nice idea. Luke should be gingerish, yeah. I can see that. It is a really beautiful box. Part of me is really excited for it to get a bit of a patina, like a couple of spots on it, and like a spill or two or a mess in there. I don't know. I kind of like my things to have a bit of a lived-in look. The cats, since today is May the 4th, I decided to draw Star Wars cats. So we have Cat Luke, Cat Leia, and Cat Han. Or at least I tried to. That was my intention. Oops. Bing, bing, boing. Alright, let's try the brushes. I'm a bit nervous about trying this Squirrel brush because it's kind of, it's too big and it's going to be too juicy. Might not use this one, though I think I'm gonna wet it a bit just so it dries in a better shape than it had been. It's beautiful. I love that it's a Da Vinci. Schmincke by Da Vinci. Size 2, Horadam. It's still the stock of brushes from 2 years ago, but that's okay. Yeah, Scruffy Tabby for Hans seems really good. So we have kind of a ginger tabby cat for Luke, tortifolea because yeah. Feels like a what cat? Someone suggested a tortifolea, and I think that kind of fits Carrie's character perhaps better. Like to be so feisty and headstrong. Let's hike up those sleeves. I think I'm gonna go with the good old Ultimo brushes. This is kind of my trio of tools at the moment. The Casaneo size 6 because it has a better point, and two Escoda in size 6 and 10. Though I don't think I will need the size 10 all that much today. But anyway. Oh, no problem, Otto, that's fine. Carrie was bipolar, right? I think I'm gonna make her a tortie that has, you know, like a split face. Once, like a distinct line in the middle. Ah, this is beautiful! I need the scrap paper. Come on. Yep. So yeah, I think I'm gonna perhaps have that sort of represented a bit. Is that the name for it? Harlequin? Harlequin tortie? Nothing like that new art supplies feel. Oh my gosh, that's true, right? Like the pristine pans. Oops. Look what I did. I made a great big mess. Sploosh, splish. Okay. Full pans are really nice to work with. It's nice to have, you know, room to move the brush and pick up color. I am using the Casaneo right now, and it's really like finer than the even if it's the same size as my Ultimo, it's pointier, so it's easier to do small areas with it. I think that tabby color is not one I have mastered yet. I still struggle to find the good base color for tabby coloring. It's kind of difficult because I feel like it varies a lot. It goes from a light gray base to a light beige base to, you know, kind of. It's a bit more difficult to. I forgot Luke's Dale. I forgot. I feel like if Chewbacca were in there, he'd be Havoc level floofy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. If Chewbacca was drawn as a cat, it would be a Havoc analog. With the pantaloons. Really? I was talking about the that ridiculous set earlier. It's wow. Schmincke are really good at having some super extravagant sets. Like there was the Joseph Haradam one. I don't know if it's Joseph Haradam or just Haradam one, but you know the kind of mechanical one that is basically like engineered in a way that you rotate something and the pants come out and you rotate it in the other way and it goes back in. That's super gadgety and cool. They had, I'm pretty sure they had a 12 color set with a tin that was like in silver for the anniversary 2 years ago. There was the luxury set. There is this new set with the all the colors. Like they come up with some ideas that are like, well, if I had, you know, a lot of extra disposable income, that's a really cool thing to own, but who's gonna buy it? And I think that's a kind of a rhetorical question because people do buy it. They sold out of these things, you know? So I'm like, wow, someone out there has like $2,000 just burning their pockets. That's gonna be a fun life. I really wish my neighbor would stop hitting things. Yeah, the mechanical twisty one is still around, but it's still it's kind of expensive. I'm a bit lucky in the sense that when I buy from Jackson's, they remove the VAT from it, so that's kind of a substantial amount less, but it's still like $1,000. I wonder if that is cheaper or more expensive than buying 140 colors in their 15 ml tubes. That's a good question. The 48 colors set, that's pretty cool. The way I usually work with larger sets is that I make a selection in my head of which colors I'm going to use for a specific painting. I don't think it's possible to do a cohesive painting with 48 colors, but it's kind of easy if you just have a preset idea of which colors you feel like using. Hey, Otto, you're just in time to hammer smash someone. Someone has a lot of spare time today, and not much to do. Tsukebo says, I asked my mom if we could go to my second favorite art supply store this summer, and after I've saved up some money and she agreed. Ooh, what do you plan on getting? Oh no, I forgot to paint the chest. Hey, Anastasia, hi. There's a handmade watercolor sketchbook I've always had my eyes on, and then some paint I need. Cool. Sounds great. Oh no, is it? Oh wow, it is. That's annoying. What is going on with you, silly thing? Oh, I hate when it does that. Stupid thing. Should be better now. Hey, thank you so much for being here, Misha. I hope you have a great weekend. Hey, no problem. Thank you for telling me, Otto. Oh, good. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you guys didn't have to go through flickering too much. It's maybe because I'm sort of having my arm cross over more because I'm finally painting instead of sketching and noodling around. I just hate when it does that. It's like, why would you assume that it's something, an effect that someone would want? No, it's not annoying at all. What do you mean? I am in my PJs too, well, at least the pants. I mean, a t-shirt is a t-shirt. That's whether it's my pajama t-shirt or just a regular t-shirt. It doesn't change much, but pajama pants are awesome. Ooh. Charles Smith says, I went on Kickstarter for the first time and bought the perfect sketchbook bundle. I think they're coming in July. Did anyone else go for it? I don't think I have. Is that the one that you can only buy a bundle of? Because I saw one recently and I was like, this is super interesting, but I'm really worried that it's going to make me spend kind of a lot of money for many sketchbooks, but what if I don't like them? Like, So I'll probably just not get it and then regret it because it's going to turn out to be cool and I will have missed out on it. That sounds like my jam. Chai rooibos, Otto, tell me more. I love a good chai. And I mean, rooibos is hard to find a decent one that doesn't taste like pencil shavings. I absolutely love tea as well. Thank you so much to Kaboo for being there with us. I hope you have a great weekend. Yes, Stacy, that sounds like what I. Well, anyway, I was looking at my stash of paper because I sorted things up, and I have enough Arches paper to not really be worried about. I know it's not bound in a sketchbook, but I don't really have to carry this around anywhere, so I can just paint here with my Arches paper and be good about it. Do I sell art? Not really at the moment. I'm not against it at all. It's just that I don't know what people would want to buy from me. Oh my gosh, Otto, that is so awesome. Yay, thank you. Ah. I got so bummed out one day that I bought some rooibos, and it was like caramel rooibos, and it had potential, you know. And I opened the box, and it smelled like a box of pencil shavings, and I was so heartbroken. I was like, this is not what I want. I ended up not being able to drink it because it tasted the same, like, you know, when you sharpen a lot of pencils and you have a bunch of pencil shavings. That was the scent. It doesn't smell really good. It would be mean to tell you about the chai rooibos and not send you some. Aww. Aww, thank you so much. I'm excited. Oh, no, Cheryl, I mean, if you got this can't miss out feeling, it really means that there's something in there that really appeals to you. Like I said, for me, I saw it and I was like, oh my, yes! Finally, cotton paper sketchbook. And then I did the 90 degrees and I saw all my arches paper and I was like, cotton paper! Not sketchbook, but close enough. I can, you know, either cut them down or, you know, but yeah, I definitely made an asterisk to remember about those sketchbooks, because if at some point I really want a cotton paper sketchbook, I will check them out for sure. I got this can't miss out feeling with the luxury box, and I'm glad I did. The new paint set, oh, it's good. I mean, I love full pans. I don't have many. I have a couple of sets with full pans, but I don't use them nearly enough. And it's really true that they are great for the brush, because you don't, you know, scrounge up in a tiny half pan and mess up your brush for a bit of color. It's interesting how they set the color up, because I was looking at the two sets. There's one set of full pan, one set of half pans, and it feels like they put all the most used colors in full pans and like the extra colors in the half pans. So I think that's interesting. It's probably not going to turn out to be true. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use up the half pans a lot, possibly a lot more, but I still appreciate that there is some thought possibly that went into preparing this set. I think that's what bothers me a bit about the Winsor & Newton paint sets, is that I feel like they stick to their formula and they don't improve it often. Like their 12 color sets always has black and white regardless, and I'm like, yeah, but really? White? Yeah, it's a really sensible way of designing the luxury set. I would have been really like not happy with them if they had put this in any other way, because I mean, when you buy that kind of set, you expect it to be mostly what you want it to be, not, you know, not something that has not been thought out before. So I was glad to see that they seem to have done this right. There is no white paint too, so I was like, yay! I have enough. I have like 2 white pans, and I think it's enough for a lifetime. not all that useful. Serafina says, have you ever nearly filled out a sketchbook, found an unused one in your home, and been so relieved? Well, the thing is that I don't find unused sketchbook. I have a freaking ton of them. I'm good. The color selection in Winsor & Newton sets always sucks and is boring. Yeah, there. There you have it. They have a lot of lovely colors in their range, honestly. But their sets, they're the most bland and boring sets ever. They never have something that is like, oh, this is our anniversary, let's have this interesting set that has different colors. It's going to be just like, we have an interesting box, but with the same old boring colors in there. And you're like, no, why did you do that? I gotta say that the chromium orange hue from Schmincke is one of my favorite oranges. It's a good orange for that I like to use for painting tabbies. If they included some of the more interesting colors they have in their oh, I would definitely get one. I don't need any more paint, but my paint collection is exactly that. It's one part paint collection and one part tools. So I have a bunch of paint, but I use it. And if they did a better color selection, from like their travel set, I quite like the tiny box they have for travel set, but the color selection in there just annoys me so much, and it's already like pricey, and like if I have to replace most of the colors in there because they annoy me, it's too bad they don't do like some other manufacturers and have curated or themed set. They had the limited edition sets. Well, they were not really a sets, but you know, they released like 6 colors. I think it was 6. It's 5 or 6. Anyway, they had that 2 times. Like one was the desert sets and one was the twilight set, and it was like a selection of 5 or 6 colors. But it didn't come in a special box or anything. It was just like special limited edition colors that you either bought or they were gone. You know. And now they've brought a couple of them back in the jewel set, the new jewel colors. But yeah, that's the closest they ever got to having sort of a themed anything, but they don't. I mean, they could have marketed it in something a bit special, and it would have been all that more interesting. Instead, they just like went, hey, we have these new colors in there, and you're like, cool, I will get them, and that's basically the end of it. Yeah, Dan says that's Winsor and Newton now. They've grown complacent with their paints. Yeah. Oh, the Schmincke bijou box. Well, if you just want, well, the Schmincke only has the bijou box with the water container in it, right? But you can get an actual bijou style box without the container from Cornelissens, and it's a lot less expensive. The transparent orange is really nice. I'm just letting this dry so I can try. Yeah, it's just here. This is my Winsor Newton special set. It's basically the desert colors here, and then you have the twilight colors here. And that's the transparent orange that was from the desert set. I really like this selection of color. I don't know what I would use it for, but every time I see it, I'm like, I need to find a reason to use these colors. And kind of the same thing happens with these. But I think what I really like of these colors is that it has a black, this is chromium black, and it's not a cold black, it's kind of a warm black, and I really loved it. So I put them in there. And yeah, they are lovely colors. Like, they could have made a set with these, right? Have something a bit special, and these colors. They only had them in two, but you know, and same for this one. I mean, I think they did a really great job selecting colors that are interesting together and have a kind of an atmosphere, but they stopped there. They didn't do anything with it. They just went like, hi, there you go, have some paints. And you're like, okay, fine, what now? The Cornelissens bijou box is pretty affordable. Yeah, it is. It's a really nice, solid, sturdy thing. Chill says, I've never started a sketchbook. I'm too scared. I'm thinking of making one. Don't be scared. Just try to have fun with it. Seriously. There's no good way or bad way to approach a sketchbook. There's only your way. So if for you what works is to skip the first 3 pages and start on page 4, you do that. If it's to draw only on one side of the paper, you do that. If it's, you know, it's yours. You do whatever you want with it. And there's really, it's for you. You don't have to show it to anyone. So whatever approach works for you with a sketchbook, just follow that. That's what's important, because a sketchbook is a great tool to work with ideas. Some people can really visualize the stuff they want to do in their head and then do it. But other people need to sort of think on the paper. And in that sense, a sketchbook is a really useful tool, because that allows you to put a couple of lines down, and then you get to see the lines and to assess, is this the feel I want for this? And then you can correct it and you can add to it. So yeah, it can be intimidating, but ultimately just feel free to be yourself with it. You can, I have sketchbook like I write when I was in school, because that's a bit gone now, but I would have pages that were like notes for a class, and then drawings for something else, and then sketches for a project. Like, you can use it for whatever you want. And I think that's the most fun part of any sketchbook. And if a sketchbook is like too small, too big, doesn't work for you, you don't really have to finish it. You can set it aside, start in a one that you feel is going to work better for you at the moment. And who knows, maybe in a couple of months you're going to feel like the previous sketchbook is something that would work for you then. So you dig it up and you work in it. Sorry if I'm rambling, by the way. I feel strongly about sketchbooks, I guess. like the idea of skipping the first few pages. That's cool. I mean, you can draw. You don't have to draw page after page. You can start in the middle, and you can just basically open it at any page and draw on it. And I mean, I've seen some people for whom sketchbooks just don't work too. That's the thing. If some people would only draw on loose paper, so they ended up with stacks of loose paper, but that's fine. It's a really personal approach, so there's really no way I mean, some people might try to, like the masters or whatever, might be like, oh, this is the way you use something, but meh, meh. Yeah, exactly. Otto says that sketchbooks don't work for her. Yeah, that's also true. It depends on what you do in your sketchbook. If you use paint or wet media in a sketchbook, that can be super annoying because you have to wait for it to dry before you can flip a page. In that sense, loose sheets make a lot more sense. Like they're much more efficient because you can work many things all at once. You don't have to wait for something to be completely dry before you can move on to something else. I know I personally haven't found a way to use wet media into a sketchbook, but I'm working on it. Like, if it doesn't work for me right now, that's okay. I won't necessarily push it. I would just keep my eyes open in case I see something at some point and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing I think could work for me. Cool, let's use it. I like to use sketchbooks to think on paper because I am not someone with a good sense of visualization. I don't see things clearly in my head. So sometimes I have a rough idea of or I have a rough feeling or, kind of, oh, I want to draw someone that is sad. And I don't see it in my head, so I have to start on the paper. And from what I see on the paper, I can adjust and fix things and get to the point I want. So that's just my way of working it. And I don't like having blank space in the sketchbook, so I tend to fill my sketchbook. Both pages, stuff everywhere, faces, expressions, ends, like anything. I'm of the idea that no practice is bad practice, so even if I don't feel good, when I was super anxious before I got on the meds, I really didn't feel like drawing ever, but I kept practicing. And I was never happy with anything, but I'm like, you have to keep practicing. This is how this is supposed to work. So I kept at it, and I don't think it was a bad idea. But yeah, I mean, it's personal. This is just my way of going at it. And there's a lot of a different take on this in the chat, which is super interesting. I'm gonna have to finish this reel soon. Oops. I think I went a bit further than I wanted. Oops. Oopsie. We have a bunch of chores to do and I'm gonna be late. I'm almost done, so there's that. love this. Lee says, for them the key was to consciously stop thinking about my sketchbooks as a masterpiece book. Now that I'm in the habit of actually finishing sketchbooks, I don't do this anymore, but for the first couple of sketchbooks, I deliberately wrecked the first page with something really rough and messy, and then forced myself to keep using the book. That's a really fun approach. Yeah, if you break this notion that this is precious from the beginning, it's probably much easier to keep up with it. Be like, no, this, I can experiment, I can have fun with this. This is not the precious thing. Scratchy, scratchy. Alright, I think I'm done. It's just a fun doodle to... It's always good practice. Everything is good practice. And oh no, I'm sorry that you're not motivated, Jima. This is never a great feeling, but it's also okay. It's fine. Sorry, I have hiccups. Ugh, I hate those. Yeah, okay, sorry. If you want to practice your watercolor but not motivated, you can do stuff like just have fun with mixes. Take your palette and just make blobs of colors, like a bit, you know, just paint swatches. Sometimes that can be super inspiring because you realize that you had forgotten how much you love a certain color in your palette, or just practice mixes and you can jot down like I mixed this and this color, and that can be useful stuff for when you feel motivated to paint. So that's kind of a thing that I don't do enough of it. Usually when I don't feel motivated to paint, I will practice something else, like sketch faces, sketch animals, sketch anything. But I find that perhaps I should practice mixing colors a bit more. Now those are swatches from my M. Graham collection. When I was looking at my M. Graham paints, I was really bothered by how bad my swatches looked. And I was like, it doesn't make these paints look good. So I took some cheap B cotton paper and I painted just random swatches. This is exactly what I was not motivated to paint, but I wanted to use paint. No, it's not silly. I didn't mention it. I just took this up out of nowhere. But yeah, and then I painted the swatches and I was like, hey, you know what? M. Graham paints, they're pretty awesome. So that sort of inspired me to you know, make some sense of this set and organize it better. But I mean, whoa, these colors, they're kind of good. This is, I didn't have to scrub that much for it to get these colors. Like, this is the intensity you get from the fact that M. Graham are semi-moist, even when they dry. This is her in character, I think. Oh no! Is it? Anyway, awesome. Okay. Yeah, so I think the difficulty can be, just as a quick note before I finish all this, because Mr. E is going to show up soon being like, time to go. We have stuff to do. And I'm like, but yeah, is that if you don't feel for a certain aspect of creating, you can look if something else interests you. Like if you don't feel like drawing and you like sewing or crocheting or knitting, you can do that. If you don't feel like painting, well, you can do just sketches in your sketchbook, or grab any color pencil in your set, a color that you like, and just doodle with it. You know, it's just fun to keep being creative, because I mean, I understand not feeling for certain activities sometimes, but that's not because you don't feel like painting that you're not a creative person. and sometimes your creativity wants out anyway. And to have a way to outlet it, it could be cooking, it could be anything, but have a different way to be creative can be really beneficial. I know it has helped me in sometimes when I was before meds, when I was like super anxious and didn't have any meds to help me. I tried so many creative outlets just because the creative was there, but it didn't have anywhere to go. So I tried. I don't like cooking now, but I went into a kind of a really intense moment on cooking stuff and learning how to cook different things, and then I got fed up with that. Then I moved on to crochet. I enjoyed crochet more, and then I sewed something, and then I did some, you know, jewelry, like anything just to keep creative. But the anxiety was having me like hop around a lot, and now I'm more focused on this. But yeah, long story short, just do whatever makes you happy, I guess. Okay, I'm done. I'm rambling. That's it. Couple of announcements quickly. I want to thank Otto for being there and helping mod. I want to thank Heather for her help moderating in the beginning. I want to thank you all for being here and hanging out with me this afternoon. This was pretty awesome. I want to mention that I still have paints for sale in my shop. There's a link in the description if you're interested in that. Otherwise, you can join us on the Discord server and chat with us, because we have quite a lot of fun discussions in there about paint and stuff. And yeah, that's it. We will see each other quite soon, and next Caturday for sure. And I really hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.